So let's just sum up where we're at in terms of your skill set, in terms of the things you've learned and the things you can do. Remember, I promised you the Ledochowski protocol, there's 3 R's. It's very complex, isn't it? You have to remember a lot of things there. And to do those things, you basically have 4 maneuvers, just 4 things. Each one is designed in such a way that if one fails, the next one automatically takes over. So what's the first conversational protocol that you learned? What do you reckon? Say again? Resource. That's a way of, actually you're right, it's a way of creating a resource. Well, the first one is the hypnotic blitz, right? How do you create the blitz? Well, we just talked about that before lunch. Number 1, you start with a magic moment, because that sets the context, ABS, for a trance to occur. It doesn't actually create the trance itself, although it can do, but it just creates a context in which a trance is more likely to occur. It arrests attention, it stops a lot of the negative chatter and static that normally gets in the way, and it's just like, it's the equivalent of when you do self-hypnosis of wiping the slate clean, so you have a starting point, right? Number 2, you're going to start adding pressure, emotional pressure, not in terms of like, pressure sales or if you really loved me, you would, right? I'm talking about pressure in terms of eye contact, touches, to get their attention and rivet it, but in a way where they feel that sense of like, something's expected of me, but I don't know what yet, right? So, eyes and touch, that creates that whole pressure sort of thing, right? And you all know what I mean by this. You've all had experience of this, and we don't have to belabor that too much, right? The next thing is you just start talking. You're going to do essentially a hypnotic benediction. You're going to talk about positive things. So you're going to use your skills, you're going to use your power words, you're going to use your trance themes, and any other suggestions that is fitting in the context to give them basically a hypnotic pep talk. And the key here is you just keep going. Now you can do them in 2 ways. You can do the sort of the alert version, where you're really like overloading, saying you're great and you're enthusiasing and you keep going faster and faster, and the more they think about what you're saying, they can't quite follow your thoughts, but it's kind of like, wow, something's happening, but I don't know what it is. And the other one, that's right, the other one is just a little bit more gentle. It fits a very different context. It's actually the same thing. It really is the same thing, but the context has just changed a little bit. And so your attitude must change a little bit. Do you see what I mean by that? But it's the same mechanics, you shift, if you like, the energy level of what you're doing to fit the context, right? That's pretty much it. Is that easy? Is that hard to do? Not really. You can do this, you can do this, you know how to do this. In terms of the content, that's just dictated by, what's happening. It could be a compliment, you just belabor. It could be something, if you're doing like in a management meeting, you could really talk to someone about specific behaviors you expect for them and how they feel as a result of it, right? But these are, the first hypnotist I ever saw do this, who this is? Because you'll see this. It's my dad. It's true. When I was a kid, and if I messed up, he'd sit down in the living room, sit us down, or actually it would be one-on-one, and he'd look at you with these big puppy dog eyes and say, you're better than that. And then inside me going, damn it. And he would just sit there very gently, very patiently, just talking about whatever it was. And at the end of it, I was convinced, right? I was convinced that he was right. And often he was right. Sometimes, maybe not. But do you get how this is done and how simple it is? Yes? Go ahead. Can we have a microphone over here? So this is the conversational pattern 1, and you have all the pieces already to do that.
Igor, what's the number 3 below theme? Below theme.
So that's an S, just for basic suggestion. So basically the point here is like the S from stimulate the unconscious. You get to choose whatever a suggestion is appropriate for the context, right? So hypnotic themes won't always be appropriate for what you're doing. For example, in a management meeting, you don't want everyone to be spacing out going, right? Let's say you're doing a problem-solving session. Let's say you're either a coach or you're in a management meeting, you're doing a problem-solving session, At that point, you want people to be in a problem-solving state of mind, right? Or say someone's having a difficulty getting hold of a concept, then you sit them down and give them a pep talk. You start off with some self-esteem loops, you know, how they're a great person, they're really going to get this, they've got other things in the past, and they'll get this in the future, right? Then you talk a little bit about what's going on. Here's the process, here's what's expected of you, here's what you're doing, and here's how you can correct things on the way. And then you set an expectation for the future. So when you do all these things, here's what's going to happen to you. You're going to feel this way. People will respond to you in this way. So between you and me, do you think you can do that now? Very good. Whatever it is, you keep doing it. But do you see, this is where the power loops from the masterclass comes in more handy, because it gives you more structure. But the content is really up to you. You can think your way through. All you're doing is, where does their attention need to be? If their attention is already on a mistake, well, then you start there and you start shifting it somewhere else, or whatever happens to be what you need. Now, you'll notice that when this happens, that when you do this, it'll work great in a lot of situations. I mean, really well. And from time to time, you know what you'll get? You'll get this. Yes, but. Or like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. What are they saying? Exactly. They're not quite there yet. It's kind of like when Dave was saying, I hope this will work. In other words, they like the concept, but they haven't quite caught up with what's going on yet. Right? So there's part of them that's not there yet. So if you're getting that with this, then you need to move on to a more powerful pattern. Right? This is powerful, but basically if it starts failing, you need to have something that will be able to fix that.